Welcome to this latest episode of Weekly Insights with Joanie, and the material and slides that I'm going to talk from today are edited excerpts from my brand new online course, Drive Through, Make It Your Own, which is exclusively on udemy.com. And this episode is actually the fifth episode of our 5-part series on how to break free of your inner critic. So what this fifth episode is about is how to really understand the tactics that your inner critic uses to keep you from being united with and taking cues from your true authentic self. Your inner critic clings to a mix of strict rules and contradictory perceptions of life that were imposed on you during your early childhood. It also scripts its own contradictive narrative to control as many aspects of your adult life as it can. This can and does become overwhelming until you understand how the inner critic pulls this off. The inner critic does not have the power to create life itself. So what does the inner critic has done is hijack creative power from your authentic self. The permission to do so was unconsciously given to it by you. From your youth to perhaps even now, the inner critic uses your childhood imagination to turn you against your authentic self. But how does it do this? One significant area it does this is how it influences you to perceive change. Your inner authentic self thrives in change. It knows change is how you evolve, and it is the easiest way to live your best, most authentic life. Whereas the inner critic sees change as a threat to your well-being. It convinces you to listen to its guidance by making the guidance of your true, authentic self sound irrational and feel uneasy. What we're going to show in the next 2 slides is how your inner critic sabotages your efforts to listen to and be guided by your true, authentic voice. Some of the more common ways your inner critic attempts to sabotage your efforts for positive change is overlaying past hurts and traumas onto a new and totally unrelated situation. For example, let's say as a child you felt unheard. Every time you attempted to speak up, you were reprimanded. Now, as an adult, you want to reclaim the power of your voice. But every time you want to speak up, your inner critic reminds you of the potential negative outcome that will happen, like it always did in the past. Another tactic is when you try something new but don't get what you want. The inner critic shifts your focus outside of you to blame anyone and anything for the negative result. It also reinforces its narrative that your inner authentic self cannot be trusted. Let's now look a little deeper at how does your inner critic cause you to not trust and not to believe in your own true authentic self. Your inner critic will point out that you followed your impulses and guidance from your inner authentic self and was let down once again. This false story becomes the basis for remaining where you are in life as the safest and most logical choice for your well-being. Even when it gets unbearable, the fear of getting worse by making changes keep you stuck on a stress-filled life path. The inner critic will also state its case that your inner authentic self betrayed you. It uses your worst experiences in life as proof your inner authentic self does not love you as much as your inner critic does. The more aware you become with how the inner critic positions itself as your hero and your inner authentic voice as your untrustworthy agitator, the easier it is to establish pattern interrupts and integrate new empowering thought processes. What we're going to talk about next is I'm going to go through action items so that you will be prepared to do battle against your inner critic and you will win. Create some time after this episode for the following. When you hear the negative voice of your inner critic, say to yourself silently or out loud the following: "No, that is not true." Turn the limiting belief into its positive opposite by saying, "I am smart enough to," or "I will succeed because," or "I am worthy to be, do, and have." Every time you hear a limiting belief being spoken to you through your inner critic, repeat your positive affirmation. It is also important to listen to the message of your inner critic so that you can trace the root cause of this dialogue. Over time, that voice in your head won't be able to complete its limiting belief. That is because you will have put in the time to develop a conscious awareness to interrupt this pattern of negative inner dialogue and heal the source of the inner pain through self-love. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and for more information on my online courses, please visit udemy.com and type my name, Joanie Marks, in the search box. Until we meet again for the next weekly insight, please remember every morning to look into your mirror, smile at yourself, and say, "I am my own best friend, for I came into this world to be myself. For that I came." Thank you, and all my best.